Hi, this is Rand Smith from System7 Coaching and Real Estate Workshops. And what we're going to talk about today is pre-sale positioning. And what is that? We'll go through that in just a minute. But first, an update from NAR's latest statistics. And they show that 4% of all realtors do 74% of the total business. 4% do 74% of the business. Now, when I look at a stat like that, I see it a different way. I see that 96% of us are scrambling for just 26% of the total share of the pie. Think about that. Now, how do you become one of the 4%? Well, one of the ways to do that is through something that we call pre-sale positioning. Let's take a look at it in depth so that you can use this system in your business to become one of the 4%. Or if you're already 4%, to become in the top 1/2 of 1%. Pre-sale positioning. One way to build tremendous credibility fast is to focus on positioning. That is, find a way to position yourself so that good, solid, qualified leads find out about you and seek you out to obtain your expert advice and assistance in solving their needs. Proper positioning is very powerful. It separates you from being perceived as just another real estate agent, which, if your goal is to build a tremendous self-perpetuating 100% referral business, is a prerequisite. You cannot be perceived as just one among many. You have to present yourself and your services as unique, as the only viable solution to your clients' pressing problems. Discover a way to position yourself in your clients' minds as the expert so that they seek you out. It will change your entire career experience. You see, you might just have the solution to a buyer or seller's greatest need. You might actually be the local expert and know best how to market their particular home or solve their particular financial problems. But if you are perceived as just another real estate agent, you automatically approach the relationship from a weak position, from that of being perceived as a salesperson attempting to get something from them. You'll have the resistance barrier to contend with. Also, one of the first things a prospect does when approached by whom they believe to be just another salesperson is to firmly establish his position as the intimidator, as the person holding the purse strings, which they are. You, as an ordinary dime-a-dozen salesperson, are asked, and rightfully so, to justify your very reason for existing in that time and space. Once a prospect has to ask, "Who are you? What can you do for me? What makes you so doggone special?" your position is ruined, because no matter how you respond, you are responding from a posture of justification. Weak, very weak. Just another real estate agent attempting to make a sale. Your goal then is to establish your image, to establish a firm position, to establish yourself in such a way as to be beyond having to justify yourself. Your goal is to be so far removed from the pack that those questions never enter the minds of your prospects at all. They can't. They know who you are. They know precisely what you can do for them. They know you are the expert. How can we accomplish this? By using a pre-sale positioning approach, for one. Running a campaign-type strategy combined with emotional response marketing, 2. And 3, providing such astounding service people are literally compelled to talk their agent, you, up all over town. Let's talk pre-sale. Imagine this scenario. John and Mary Seller are sharp, educated, and when it came to selling their home, they decided their best strategy would be to interview at least 3 local agents. So, on Tuesday, Mary placed the calls and made arrangements to meet with all 3 agents the following Tuesday. On Wednesday, John and Mary receive a bright red, white, and blue priority mail package delivered to their home. It contains a brief letter, dozens upon dozens of local references that they are invited to call upon, and a thought-provoking questionnaire designed to uncover and address their needs and concerns. In addition, they find a nicely bound, personalized booklet chock full of information useful to them. There's also a DVD and even a small booklet offering helpful moving hints. Now, on Saturday, John and Mary receive an ordinary business envelope in the mail from one of the other agents. Enclosed is a 1-page letter reminding them of their appointment and a nice 4-color personal brochure outlining the agent's experience. The brochure is very nice. This brochure is clearly about who? The agent. More than they ever wanted to know about this agent. They never heard from the third agent till they actually met at the door. Now, you tell me, which agent stands the greatest chance of taking the listing? You do, because you're the agent who delivered your incredible pre-sale pack, which establishes you as the local real estate expert, annihilates any and all of your competition's puny little efforts to set themselves apart, and literally compels your sellers to get involved in the decision process before you even arrive. Study and one of the pre-sale positioning presentations that I've made available for you as if your career depended on it. Each of them is very, very powerful. In fact, many top producers have embraced the very same material included in each of my free listing and pre-sale packages. In particular, my ultimate pre-sale presentation virtually guarantees you 3 to 4 new listings each and every month for the duration of your real estate career. Now, why? A couple of reasons. First, it has a guide for them, your sellers, to use when interviewing other agents. I mean, you're being naive if you think that these sellers are only going to be talking to you. And since they're going to be interviewing other agents anyway, why don't you be the one to suggest that they do it? What you do is to put in their hands the 7 or 10 or 18 most important questions that they should be asking every agent that they interview. Why do you want to do that? People say, Rand, that's ludicrous. Why would you even suggest that I ask a bunch of tough questions, or suggest that they ask a bunch of tough questions? Well, think about this. If you author these questions, you are in the best position to answer them. Your job when authoring these questions is to use a little guerrilla marketing. What do I mean by that? When you author your questions, you want to design them in such a way that when asked of your competitors, it will expose their weaknesses. When asked of you, they'll elevate your strengths. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. I've been in the business 29 years. One of my questions is, have you been a licensed full-time real estate agent in the state of California for over 25 years? My experience shows that 95% of my competition is immediately eliminated by this one question. Poof, they're gone. Designed just right, even in the areas wherein you find yourself falling short of your competition, like you don't have a large listing inventory. In fact, you're just getting started and perhaps don't have any inventory, but your chief competitors do. You can still win. For example, design a 2-step trap question. First part of that is, do you have a large listing inventory or large inventory of listings? When asked of a top listing agent, what are they going to say? They're going to pounce. Yes, I do. I have a huge listing inventory. Next question. Does that mean then that our property will be just one of the many, destined to be lost among a sea of others? Does that mean you won't have time to give my property the personal attention it needs and that we desire? See what you've done? You've taken what could have been potentially used against you and turned it into a positive favoring you. That's the power of designing your own questions. Another thing that brings tremendous power to this pre-sale package is my Thinking About Selling, What Are You Concerned About sheet. Basically, it lists a number of possible concerns your sellers might have and gives them the opportunity to rate their concerns on a scale of 1 to 5. 2 things happen when your sellers fill out this sheet. Number 1, you'll walk in to your appointment knowing what your sellers are most concerned about. Their concerns are their objections. Overcome those objections, and what do you have? A listing. But the other thing that's interesting too is when your sellers put pencil to paper, when they actually take the time to do the homework you've assigned them to do, they've literally made a commitment to you. You've set an anchor. You've established rapport. Another powerful page of this pre-sale pack is the There's No Place Like Home page. In fact, this page is a good example of optimizing everything you do to accomplish a multiple purpose. You will find on this page we ask the seller such questions as, tell me what features about this home you've really enjoyed, and this home is well suited to a blank. The answers to these questions do two things. First, it will help you target buyers, which will be most suited for this home. Buyers which will most likely pay the most money. Secondly, by asking your sellers what they liked most about the home, you can include these particular features in your property brochure and in your MLS postings, which will position you as a marketing genius in the eyes of your sellers. They'll love you because you've listened to and spoken their language. And, as a bonus, you will have virtually eliminated the possibility of getting a phone call from your sellers chastising you for not highlighting what they perceive to be a most important selling feature or benefit of their home in your feature sheet. Make sense? And while all of that is important, perhaps the most important aspect of your pre-sale pack is to hit real hard on the value of pricing their home right. Knowledge is power, and by educating your sellers up front about the value of pricing their home right from the beginning, you'll save yourself a lot of time and grief later. Be it at the actual face-to-face listing appointment or when you need to enhance the pricing strategy, which is really code words for price reduction. Make sense? Good. Let's move on. Let me tell you about George. George has always been a very average agent, like so many are. But a lot has changed for George since he invested in System7 and began incorporating the principles of pre-sale positioning and emotional response marketing into his business. Check it out. George is good. He isn't content with providing just outstanding service for his clients. No way. He prides himself on providing astounding service. And boy, is it ever paying off for George. Now gets 70% of his listings from referrals. And the remaining 30% is generating via his various marketing campaigns. In either event, his phone is constantly ringing off the hook with interested buyers and sellers seeking him out to represent them. But George doesn't accept just any client or property. He can't. His time, energies, and resources are much, much too valuable to waste on just any deal. All listings must meet his strict criteria, and after brief introductions, his assistant explains that it's her job to screen all calls and make certain their property meets such criteria. If not, she will be more than happy to provide the caller with George's #1 competitor's phone number. The assistant then asks the caller a few qualifying questions. If the answers are satisfactory, an appointment is arranged for George to meet with the sellers at their home in a couple of days. Immediately upon hanging up, the assistant stuffs a personal marketing DVD which focuses on the value of pricing their property right, and a large number of live testimonials, and a pre-sale package chock full of useful information designed to educate the sellers on just how George will go about marketing their property, what they can expect from him, and what he expects from them. Into a Federal Express overnight delivery envelope and posts it. The day before the scheduled appointment, the assistant calls the sellers to confirm that they have read their specially prepared marketing report and watched the DVD. She also reminds them to complete the homework pages provided in the package. If not, the appointment is rescheduled until such time the sellers commit to completing their assignments. If they have, the assistant goes on to ask even more qualifying questions, noting their answers to give to George, and the appointment is confirmed. At the appointment, George is not perceived as just another real estate agent. In fact, the sellers are often the most intimidated because the stage has been set from the beginning that they must meet George's strict criteria, not that he must meet theirs. In other words, George has positioned himself quite differently than just another real estate agent. So he is perceived as quite unique. In fact, because of his pre-sale positioning power, George routinely closes 97% of all listing presentations that he makes. See the incredible difference in perception proper positioning can play? You, the expert, become the one who either accepts or rejects the opportunity to work with any particular seller or buyer. It is no longer you seeking to impress them. It's them seeking to impress and qualify themselves to be accepted by you. This one distinction is how you present yourself and how you present yourself can spell the difference between a mediocre career and a career that is unstoppable. I'm serious. Listen, if you're not using a pre-sale pack, you're losing money. Period. Bottom line. Okay, guys. Good luck. Have a great day. Be blessed.